Okay, everybody, welcome to our YouTube channel. Today we're going to do an embossed metal Baby Yoda. Here is what it looks like kind of in the end. And it comes framed. This is for an instructional for one of our take-home kits right now. And you have everything that you need in the kit pretty much, except a ballpoint pen or a pencil that's sharp, not too sharp. But pretty much anything, a stylus of some kind, anything would work. And basically what we have is 2 layers of padding underneath. We have like a 36 gauge metal, so it's kind of soft. It's easy enough to emboss with the padding underneath. And already taped onto this is our template that we're going to be working off of. So we're going to keep this taped on until we're completely done with the outline, everything that is black. I'm going to do everything that's black except the center of the eyes. We're just going to go around the edges of the eyes. But anything that's black on here, basically, we're going to emboss with a pen. And it's important that in case you forget where you left off, you can always lift up and make sure you got everything. The important thing is to not take it off of the metal, not release the tape on this and take it off until we have definitely got the outline of everything, because it will never actually line back up again. It's almost impossible. So we're going to start, you have gloves, we have swabs, we have all of the alcohol inks, which are super vibrant, translucent color. That's what we paint with quite often here, and they're a lot of fun. We have some precision tip swabs, some regular swabs, and a frame. And we're going to go ahead and get started. Now you're going to use pressure on this that's harder than you would if you were writing or drawing, because we want to make an impression on the metal as much as possible. And we want to go on the outside of the, let's start with the whole exterior, like the outside. Let's go right around that whole thing. Hope you guys can see this. But I'm basically going to create enough that we can see that. You see that on the side here? So basically we're going to go around the whole thing and take care of all of that. Again, stronger pressure. If you guys are doing this with kids, you might want to do this part for them if they're not strong enough to press down on the pen or the stylus, whatever you guys are going to use. But we can always go back and redo it, go over a little bit. Important thing is we don't take it off of the metal with the tape. You can pick it up and look and then put it back down again. You don't want to take it off the metal completely until we have everything completely outlined. So I'm going to start by outlining Yoda completely. Then I'm going to go onto the inside into his wrinkles in his forehead, around his eyes. We're going to go around this black part of the eye, but we're not going to press down on the inside of here. All here we're going to do these black areas in his robe here. We are going to fill them in because we want to indent them somewhat. So these black areas here, but other than that, we just get every other black line as much as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and emboss this. Now the best key that I can give you to help you draw anything smoothly or trace anything specifically that you're going to get the cleanest line on it is to always draw towards yourself. So you want to always be able to see what direction, where it is that you're going. Don't forget that you don't have to keep turning your arm this way, that way. This moves around. So just move it as you need to go and keep going and keep going. Just make sure you keep it on these pads so that it's easier to get a nice embossment with that. So I'm going to go ahead. Sometimes I go over it a couple times like that. I hope you guys are all staying busy with this quarantine. I know it's hard, but it's super important. And I know you get bored, but this should help. This is a lot of fun. Guess you guys are into the Baby Yoda if you picked out this project. Hopefully, when we get past this and it's safe for everybody to be out and about, we're going to do this here at the gallery as a project. So you see, we can lift up and see, okay, I believe I got everything in this area. I think I missed a spot right here. Let's get him right there. I'm going to continue around this whole thing with the black like that. Again, if you draw towards your body, and you can always see, like your thumb or your arm is not in the way, you can always see the direction where you're going. If you're making a turn, if you're not making a turn. This area here, you definitely want to kind of fill in, because we want to indent that, as well as this area right here. And then again down here. So these are the only areas of black that we're kind of filling in this way, like this. So you can see how they're kind of indented in more. So these two areas, we're probably going to do that same thing like right around here a little bit also. So we have a few other take-home projects that we're going to be creating some of our YouTube videos for a to-go kit. Some of our easier things. You can always call me if you have any questions or message us. And again, when I need to, I will turn this, knock all my paints over in the process. But the caps are still on all of those, so we're good. You probably want to work on a, if you have a piece of plastic or something to put down over a, a sturdy table, that would be great. If not, use a few layers of newspaper or something like that, because they will stain. And eventually, when we're doing the painting, we'll use the gloves. If you don't use the gloves, you end up with your hands looking like this. Even if you're washing several times a day, like we all are now, unfortunately, it stays with you for a little bit. So you definitely, once we get to the painting, you don't need them now, but once we get to the painting, you definitely want to wear the gloves. So the good thing about this is, especially when you're doing it at home, you can do it at your own pace. Sometimes you get a little cramp in your hands, get a little tired, take a break, and come back to it. You can also feel if you've gotten everything. So I didn't do this top. You can feel the embossment there. So we're good over here. So we don't worry about this white part right in here in the eyes at all. We'll take care of that with the alcohol inks afterwards. I feel like, oh, I didn't get my heart up here. And you may not, anything that's on here like this, if you choose not to put this in your embossed metal, that's fine, just leave it out. Okay. Let's take a look again, make sure. I think we're good. So now, we can remove that tape. And just take it on the opposite side. So not the side we embossed her. It's totally the opposite of what it was. We're going to use one of these precision tipped swabs to create. So this is the back side of it. We want to use this to push the metal forward that's between. So not on the outside, just everything that's inside of his body and inside of the heart. And this is going to give like a little bit softer embossment. It's going to be smoother than if we did it with the pen or anything like that. Be careful on the skinny lines to just go easy several times back and forth. The padding underneath is going to help. If you notice, like if you go too hard, too fast, it'll kind of be a little ripply. So you can just lightly go over that and smooth it more so. Once we paint it, you're really also not going to see that, but I know you're not going to like that. You're going to feel nervous about that. So let's try kind of. And again, if you do this the same way, where you turn it as you go, you can see on this side now, this is all raised as opposed to here. By pushing back the outline, we've actually created a bit of embossment here, but we want to make that more pronounced so that it stands up. I don't know if you can see that on the video, but you could definitely feel it, and you could feel it more so than this side. So let's do that heart up here. And just stay within your embossment lines and you should be fine. You don't have to worry about straight lines like that they're open, they don't have anything around them. That's fine. And as you get into larger areas, it's easier to use this kind of on its side a little bit, so you have like a broader stroke. You can push that out easier. Now if you accidentally go over one of these outlined part of your outline and push it forward again, you can always turn it around and push that back again. You don't have to worry too much about it, like the toenails, they're fine. Let's get the major parts of the body and embossment. So this whole area, this ear, this part of the body is already done, and the heart. We'll go ahead, we're going to do the whole eye, push that forward. Easiest to do that just circular. And it's slowly, you're basically stretching the metal, so slowly, you want to do it slowly, so that it doesn't end up with any huge creases. The metal will stretch, but if you try to press too hard and move it too fast, you could end up in larger areas with it creasing, causing a creasing problem. If your outline, or say like some wrinkles in his forehead, if they're too close together like these, just don't even try to get in between, or you're going to end up flattening that out. But where there's larger areas between them, go ahead and try and push that forward. And again, in the larger areas, I kind of turn it on its side some and push down on it, kind of on an angle on its side. Gets a larger area with less texture in it. Pushes it forward. So we've taken this metal and treated it with something to make it a little bit duller, so there's not so much of a glare off of it. There'll be less of a glare once we add the alcohol inks to it, but if we didn't do this, it's a super amount of glare. It makes it difficult for you to see where you need to go. This area here and right here, those are those areas that we've already pushed forward from the other side, so we don't want to mess with those. Just go around those, and we're going to get his whole robe, the rest of his robe. That was like kind of the inside of the robe shining through, so it makes it appear a little bit more three-dimensional if we push that back. So when it comes to the robe, it's best to go with strokes that are in the same direction as the flow of the robe is. So on this side we're going this way, on this side we went this way. So with the alcohol inks, the fun part about that is, if you can get this in a little tighter, that they are permanent, but unless we add alcohol to them. So you do have a bottle of 91% isopropyl alcohol as part of your kit. We're going to use that to rehydrate the alcohol inks. Say they dry it very quickly. So if you leave them sit, say, and come back to it tomorrow or later on, they may be dehydrated. You'll find that they're hardened. Nothing is coming off on it when you stick a swab into that. That's fine. You can just add a few drops of alcohol to it and it rehydrates it like right away. The other good thing about the alcohol inks is if you really make a mistake, if you do something, you drip something, and you really hate it, you can take some cotton swabs and some alcohol and pretty much wipe it clean, starting all over again. We're going to start with the background first, and we're going to go over everything, like the whole thing. I think we're good. Oh, very nice. So we can remove those pads now, because basically around the edge from this side, you just want to go around with it on its side like that and kind of push it flat around the area that we embossed, and that is going to make it stand out and pop just a little bit more, just a little, as well as if you have any wrinkles, kind of things like kinks or whatever, you can kind of push those out as well. Again, turn the metal as opposed to twisting your arms up to try to see where you're going. Okay, so now is when you want to put your gloves on. I'm going to take a cotton swab. Number one is your alcohol. So you want to basically move this to the side here. Wet the swab on one side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Say that, about 6 drops. Put that cap over here. And then we're going to take maybe Start with 3 drops of the black right on top of that area. So 3 drops like that. Now we want to cover the whole surface, including Yoda. We're just gonna, it's easier, but if we can kind of go in a zigzag pattern more so, and add to it as we go along. There's not enough, so maybe 6 or 7 drops, and maybe 4 or 5 drops of the black. And we're gonna spread this out evenly across here. Eventually, but it's easier to go in kind of an end pattern or zigzag across, basically. We want it to fall into all these little crevices where we did our initial, when we initially did the design, the outline. So we can remove some black from Yoda once we get this all down and the background down good. A couple drops. Definitely always add more alcohol to it. If it feels like it's getting dry, see already this is dry. If it feels like your pad is getting dry, it's important that you see some of these things that are missing. Let's get color all the way into those. And you can do it circular, however you need to do it to make sure we get color into it. The thing is that in the end, so that we're going to create like kind of a street, like wood grain background. So our last swipe across it are going to be completely an up and down stroke. But until we're done with the background, until we get everything covered, we don't really have to worry about that. If you see anything that's super silver still shining through, definitely make sure you get it in there. Spots there still, a little bit more. I don't want that to be too dark. So we want to tone it, kind of like a gunmetal color. We don't want it to be too dark though. You don't want to press too hard that you press the embossment right out of it either. I'm sure you're not doing that though. Just as you look around, you know, the light shines on different areas, you'll see little pockets that you didn't get in all those crevices. So, in the end, with our last swipe across, because once we get this background done, we don't want to mess with it anymore. We don't want to have to go back to it, because once you do, you have to do the whole thing at once or not at all. It's too hard to kind of repair a very small area. Make sure you go all the way off from the top, all the way from off the metal to all the way off the metal on the other side. So your paper or plastic should have some ink on the edges where it comes right off the edges. It does dry quickly, so once that side's dry, I can hold on to that side and kind of get that swipe going in there. So I'm happy with that. I'm going to put that away. Take a brand new, I'm going to cover up my black. Take a brand new clean swab. I think I'm going to go with one of the discs instead, so this, and get some alcohol on that. Wrap it kind of around my finger because I only want to hit the stuff that's coming forward and take some of the black off of that. I do not stay away from the background. I do not want to mess with the background because I'll have to start that all over again if I do. So just want to remove off the top, leaving all of the ink that settles into the crevices. And then just move to a cleaner spot on that same pad. And this is going to help create some depth and some texture, making some highlights and some shading to the colors as well. So having a little bit on there is fine. We don't have to get it completely silver again. So we're going to get the majority off of all the high points, everything that's up. So the flatter that you can hold it, and just be careful to stay away from the edges, the better we're going to come out. Okay, done with the background. Let that dry for about 30 seconds. Okay, so everybody's got an empty palette like this. Now, because they dry so quickly, you can go ahead and put colors in all of your palettes or all of your wells in the palette, or you can just do them one at a time. I usually tend to do them one at a time so that I don't have to rehydrate it with more alcohol. The white is the only color that's opaque, and it's also the only color that you need to shake pretty well to use. We're not actually going to use white on its own, except for a little dot in both the catch lights and the eyes. And I'll show you how to do that. But let's just start out with number 4, which is the magenta. And I'm going to use that to do the heart. And then the little section of the ears, like where on the inside of the ears where they started. Let's get my, where's my, oh, there it is. So you can use that as a guide next to you so you can see what you're doing there. I'm going to put some magenta in here, and then we're going to start it out in the ear here and here. So again, the white's the only one you have to shake. You only need maybe 5 drops at a time in there. Take a new precision tip swab, soak that up. You don't want it dripping because you don't want to drip it across your metal. You just want to fill in that heart. Now, with the other colors that are on the original one, I'll show you the difference. You can either go with the alcohol inks straight by themselves without the white in them, or you may want to add just a drop or 2 of white that's going to make it opaque, so then therefore you don't have that metallic glow through it. So I'm going to do the heart without any white added to it, and maybe you could see the difference between that and the magenta that I do in the ears. And you can see that when you put this color in too, it also kind of cleans up any of that black that was left over. It creates like a little bit of shading around the edges. It's kind of nice. So that metal, you can see how the light shines off of it. If I take this and I put another couple drops in there, and then put 1 drop, shake that white good, maybe 1 drop of white in here. See how that mixes in with it? You don't want to put too much white in because then it's going to make it too pastel. But it takes it from a transparent to a translucent. Okay, so I'm going to do this ear first. Just make it the upper part, because then we're going to blend this in with some yellow, so we're going to have an orange in between and then a yellow towards the ends. So you don't want to try to get in all of these areas that have the dark, that where the black has settled into those crevices. That's specifically why we put that black right over him, so that he would create a kind of an outline in there. And then we want to start this ear. So just that little bit of white is going to make it more of a frosted look. You won't see as much of the metallic shining through the metal itself as you do. So now this color is the only one that we're going to use actually the same swab on to move in, because we're going to transition from that into the yellow, but between the yellow and the magenta we're going to have 5 drops about, and that's number 3. The yellow is number 3, if you can't tell. Sometimes in the containers they're so dark it is hard to tell. I have 1 drop of white to that. So cool, watch it kind of dissolve into here. I don't know if you can see that, but while this is still has magenta on it, I'm gonna go ahead and dip into this yellow, pick up some of the yellow, and it's gonna create like an orange color. I'm gonna go over part of that magenta to pull some orange into it. If you feel like you have too much on, or if you feel like you need more white in there, you can go ahead and add that in. You can either use the other end or a new swab, whichever works for you. You have enough to use new swabs. So to get the rest of the ear with the yellow, I think we're going to need to add some more yellow in there. Maybe 2 drops of white with the yellow. Okay. So anything that includes the white in it, when it first goes on, it looks super vibrant, the color. And it kind of, as it dries, it blends into the background a little bit more so. And again, you're going to go over that orange a little bit with it. A little too much on that. A little dirtied up too much, so I'll use a new swab. So you just get the rest of this yellow in here. And don't forget, every time you go over these areas, it does pick up a little bit of that black from the background that we had in. But it makes a nice combination. And the white looks so vibrant. Don't do that part. These are brand new bottles, so you probably want to take your little snap rings off the bottom there. If you feel like anything is too dark, you can take a swab with the alcohol, just a clean swab with the alcohol, and kind of wipe it clean as you turn the swab around to a clean area each time you move it. So you can always do that. Or you can just add some white into those areas and get a nice little kind of rainbow blend there. It looks pretty cool. I like that. Okay. I'm going to move on into a green now. That's number 5. I'll put this in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Probably going to use more green than anything. And 1, 2 drops of white into that. Clean swab, different end or a different swab. And we'll start going. A little bit more white in that green. And you can go by your guide to see what colors go where if you can't tell by just the shapes. Again, this is going to move this black around some and kind of push it down into those crevices a little bit more. Also create some shading right in the green itself. So you get plenty of ink on it. If it's too much and it's dripping, just go ahead and dab it off on your paper or paper towel or something like that. The key is you don't want to drip it over the edge of your background, because for us to have to go to the background again right now, we'd probably be better off just kind of wiping it clean and starting all over. The black from the background, go ahead and take a new end or a new swab. Okay, I think we got his whole head. We're just down to his fingers here. I'm going to go with is number 6. That is the brown. Usually take the brown, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe something like that. You have plenty. I'm gonna go ahead and add some yellow to this as well, and white to both of those. New swab, clean end of the swab, and again follow your little guide here. Darker in these areas and up towards the collar, a little bit lighter. We'll add some yellow into that. Now once these are dry, they're going to be good to go. I suggest you use only water-based things as far as cleaning. Dusting, really, I would just dust them, you know, with a Swiffer or something like that. Dry or damp cloth. You don't want anything that's not water-based, so not no Windex or alcohol or anything like that, because that will affect that. If you do want to use things like that on it, you're better off to do a coat of sealant on it. And there's only certain kinds of sealants that work, so since it's kind of like non-shiny kind of a surface, the metal itself, I always go with I dust it with a Swiffer or a damp cloth. You don't want to really add any alcohol or any Windex or anything like that that can affect the alcohol inks to it. I'm going to go ahead and add some yellow right to that. And a new swab with the yellow. Up towards the tip of the collar, mainly. A little bit down in here. So it's a blending thing. It's a little bit of a blending game. You just play with it. Until you get the kind of look that you'd like. You can add more white to it if you need to. See how when you put this white on, it looks super vibrant, but then as it blends into the other colors behind it, it kind of tones down. And sometimes it tones down too much, and you have to go in and add a second layer of that. You can go back to your original magenta if you like and just use that same swab, maybe a drop of alcohol to it to reconstitute that and get rid of that ring. And just a tiny fleck up inside his mouth there. Doesn't ain't much. Okay, now we're gonna put some black. Maybe 5-6 drops, that's all you need. You wet that swab. Do his eyes. Sometimes the black might take 2 coats to make it a solid black. And they dry real quickly. And again, go back to your white. You know, there's 2 drops is all we need in there, because once that black is dry, we're just going to put 2 catch lights up towards the top, just kind of like a dash. Nope, a little more white. A little bit more vibrant. No. Okay, so now still with that white, if you need any more areas that you feel like still need more highlighting, you can add some blending solution to it. The blending solution, which is the alcohol, #1. And you can use that wherever you think that you need some, just a little bit more smoothing or some highlights, just the last touches. The other thing you can do and you turn it as you change color, like if you're going into different areas, different color, go ahead and turn that swab around so that you're not mixing colors too much. Now lastly, if you happen to have like a black superfine marker like this one here, you can use that if you need to redefine kind of around him, that kind of thing, if it's not dark enough. This one I left pretty dark. I probably could have went lighter on it, but definitely like around his mouth. I like to re-outline that. Some of the creases like around his nose. To redefine them. And then his forehead. If you don't have a marker like this, use your black. Just not too much. With the pointy tip, the precision tip. And you can use that to do the same thing, just a very light touch though. It's just a... So anywhere you need to add more definition into those creases is where you want to use that. And also touch up anything black in the eye that's not already where you need it to be. Okay, we're going to take a frame, take the back out, and take the glass out. Now, if you have little kids at home that like to touch and press things that are, you know, textured like that, you might want to put the glass in front of it, which means you put the glass in first. But generally for the embossed metals here, as long as you don't have little fingers that are touching it and kind of pushing it in, we go ahead and put it right down first and put the glass behind it. Now, if there is any problem with it, you can always take it apart, take the glass out, use a new swab to kind of press that down on something that's cushioned, and put the back on. And you're done. I hope you had a great time. I hope you enjoyed this and come back for some more projects. And let's see. Any questions? You can give me a call. Our number's on our Facebook page, website. And send us some pictures when you're done. We'll go ahead and post them on our Facebook page. And if we do enough of them together, maybe we'll run a contest or something for when we are back in the gallery for another event. See you guys soon. Thank you.